What you just listened to was one cue made by one library, Berserker Pro by Keepforest, your ultimate companion for tribal, punk, and folk drums, as well as other sounds. This library is going to be a perfect companion for you in 2026 and for many years of creating. Today, I'm going to be diving into the choices I made to make this really short and easy cue with just Berserker Pro. I'm going to be taking stem by stem the decisions I made, and whilst I do that, we'll be taking a look at the UI, some of the functions of Berserker Pro, and how you can get the absolute most out of it. Because let me tell you, there are so many features within this. Not to mention that Berserker Pro, whilst it's been out for a while, has now received its 1.1 update with a bunch of new features. So we'll go into that. We'll just jump straight into the door right now and get into it. So this is my session here. Very simple. I've actually only got 9 stems, 3 of which are audio stems that I've used, all from the Keepforest suite, some from Berserker Pro, some just from my sample folder that I nest all of the Keepforest sounds in. So as an overview, I've got one multi-stem, a tonal effects, a voices stem, a user import sample stem that's now within the Keepforest Berserker Pro engine. Then we've got elemental percussions, cello process, tonal effects, metals, the anvils, and the risers. So the tonal effects also a riser there. I'm going to start with the multis. We're going to go top down, and I'm going to solo things, and then we're just going to listen to them, and then we're going to discuss them. So let's hear this. So that's just the stem in itself. So what I'm going to talk about here is just the amount of multis and instruments that Berserker actually offers. So when I was playing around, seeing what presets were available, there's a heap. So when you load up Berserker Pro in Contact, you need to have Contact Player for this. You've got your instruments, then you've got your multis. Within instruments, you've got a lot of different options. You've got your hits, your impacts, your war drums, and so many more. Within there, you've got weapons and textures, which also has its own subcategories. You've got whooshes and motions, and then there's a whole heap of whooshes and motions options. We've also got breaths and growls, so that's split up into their own instruments as well. Some really awesome articulation, shorts, longs. You've got mediums, swells, really detailed for your cues, which is awesome. You've also got tonal elements, core, and then the core here, they're all listed out. So take that away. And then you've got user imports, which I'm going to demonstrate how I utilize that with just sounds that I have outside of the Keepforest environment and how I import that in. Then we've got multis. So we've got elements, multi-kits, artist kits, and then I've pulled up artist kits, and I've just pulled up warrior steps, and I've pulled up Stalker Tensions, wherever that is. I can't see. There it is, third one there. All right, and the multis are just kind of these pre-made, it's in the name, multi-setup. So it allows you to just see the individual layers. If you wanted to recreate certain portions of it, you could, but it loads up a whole multi for you here. Something I just want to flag right now is also, before we get into the real details of the UI, so Berserker 1.1 has been released, and there are headline changes and like some things that I just want to highlight. So there's 3,050 like handcrafted rhythms, which I'll demonstrate in the rhythm section, the advanced pattern engine, the step sequencer. Beyond that, we've got a bit of a new UI UX, which has been redesigned, fast navigation. We've got the new rack effect system. There's stretch mode as well, which is super handy, which I'll demonstrate. There's the articulation assignables to any grip steps. There's the multi-patch panel. And then also, as you may have seen, there's the Wild Hunt series that's recently been released with Keepforest. So now the Wild Hunt series ready controls are now in the multi-patch panel. We've got MIDI exports with layers and pan automation, and they've also got expressive automations and just a heap of small workflow improvements. So the multi is probably the least interesting thing. This is very, set and forget. You use this, you set your key that you want to utilize here, so you can set the note on the left side, and then you just play with the right side. So yeah, very set and forget. This is probably the least interesting part, but obviously if you need some inspiration, a little bit of help, just, you know, get your rhythm and your juices flowing for writing some stuff, this is really handy. Now we get to start talk about like the really cool stuff. And this is why this is going to be a great companion for you in the new year, and then for many years to come beyond this. So now I'm going to play the tonal effects, the metal vibrations. Yeah, amazing stuff. So I absolutely love this. And full transparency, like for me, I would not only use Berserker Pro in a full trailer custom if that's what I was doing, but I'm doing a custom right now that's a horror cue, and Berserker Pro is definitely littered throughout for reasons like this, for the tonal effects. So we're going to utilize this and talk about this front UI with the tonal effects. So obviously we've got the sample that's loaded up there. We've got the blue keyboard below. And just in this mode, you're just playing different samples. So if I click on stretch mode now, you can see there's a whole bunch of options here. So now we're going to be stretching out this sample. If we go out of stretch mode, I pick a different one. And then I click stretch mode on that one, and now you're stretching that too. Obviously, depending on the samples, some are going to work better with others and behave nicer and when you stretch them out. So some things to note, you can adjust the low note, you can adjust the high note, you can also adjust like the note here at the top there. You can fine tune, there's like semitone fine tune, volume fine tuning. Then we've got this settings here right next to step mode, which is doubling and tripling. And then we can start to play around. And then what appears here is the layers element. So you've got drifting as well. You've also got width. So this is kind of how wide that sound is. So if I just play now. So if I go default, you can see there's only one. Doubling, there's the 2. If I go tripling, there's the 3. Another thing to note too is if you're not liking how long the sample tail and line is as well, you can actually select those start and end points. Then we've also got these settings here, which I'll come back to when we've got some hits because it's a little better then. If I come back here, we've got doubling, tripling. When you've got doubling, you've also got the inclusion of levels. And then there's some pretty standard stuff. So you've got your filter, your low pass, your high pass as well. You've got, velocity settings. You can also, another thing to note just quickly, is that if you right click on anything, you can go learn MIDI CC automation. And then for example, if I just, pick any of them, all of a sudden it's detecting I'm doing a little knob here on the left side, and it's changing the high pass, low pass filter, and you can just see that change. But you can do that on anything. Most contact instruments allow that too. Then we've also got the step AHD. So you've got, different things, attack, hold, decay, fade out as well, all pretty stock standard stuff. As well, we've got the hotkeys too, which you can do and learn more about. Then you've also just got your main page tutorial on the top right, which is super handy and nice to have. So that's the, we've also got retrigger and hold too. If you go hold, it changes the ADSR settings as well. So we've got step mode, and then when you're out of step mode, a bunch of settings away, and when you're out of stretch mode, a bunch of settings are also gone. So it can be as simple or as complicated as you're looking for, essentially. So now that I've kind of gone through that front page, let's take a step back and let's go to voices. So this is a different type of preset. And it's just that note being repeated. So let me pull this up and pull this into focus. So what I've got here is just a very simple step mode going on. I've just got the same note repeating. Let's take a look at the effects rack with this. So I've actually only got a limiter on here, but I thought with a blank kind of effects chain, it would be really useful and really handy to see how hard the manipulation can go. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to loop this one back, sweet. And then I'm just going to play and the randomize. So with a lot of Keepforest stuff, you've got the randomized dice, which is super, super handy, but you've also just got a stack of presets that they've got here for you for your effects categories, which is really nice. I like to just randomize and see what's going on. But if you were to click plus, you've got a full range of effects that you're able to load up in the effects rack. Just so much. And they've got them grouped for you, modulation, stomps and amps and cabs, dynamics. It's, yeah, really, really helpful. A lot of guitar pedal like references there that I see, which is really cool, which I really like and resonate with as a guitarist. So if I just exit out of this, I'm just going to like randomize whilst I play through it, and you'll hear how things are changed. Also, you've got this nice little thing, don't ask again, which I do. So we'll just play and I'm just going to keep randomizing. So just from like just randomizing it before every time it hits, you can hear so many different possibilities. You also notice as I randomized too, all these different controls were changing, different controls within, and yeah, each effect has different control parameters, whether it's a filter, whether it's just a whole bunch of IR related things, where it's a low pass. Yeah, you've got your color options and your gaining options. As well as just full-blown filtering options. And then you've also got your limiter in here, which is super handy. You have a really easy clear slot button. You have slot presets as well for within the selections as well. So if I just go 3-band EQ, yeah, so you have a lot of different options. So if we go EQ, let's go 3-band, and then I'll change the slot presets to low, mid, frequency, shine. There's also just different options too. AR, low pass 4, high pass. Yeah, same with this. You've got just different different slot presets which you can load and save. But yeah, this is in essence the effects page. You can also bypass all, which is really handy. You can tell they're bypassed from the top little dot up there. But the effects page is just, yeah, super powerful. You heard there from the demonstrations between each hit how just dynamic and different those sounds change depending on your signal flow. So I'm just going to bypass all for now and get out of that. So we've looked at the voices. Now let's look at something a little different, which is not a sound that comes from Keepforest per se, but a sound that I've loaded in and then manipulated using the user import engine. So when you're in Keepforest, there's this different one here called user import. What this allows you to do is it allows you to drag in a full sample. So I've just pulled up a random thing here, the low strings Atmos 2. And when you drag something in, you're able to drag and drop, replace, add new. So I'm just not going to do that because I've already done it. But I'm going to close this. If we take a listen to what I have done here, and I'll just filter this out a little bit differently. Sorry, get the loop going. Awesome. So then, if we take the effect off, it was just a low Atmos that I had. What I had done here is, so you drag the sample in, drag new. I've selected the cutoff points. I've put it into stretch mode. You can see the whole keyboard has made this a playable item now. Yeah, so I've selected where I want it to start, where I want it to end. And then what I've done is I've gone over to the effects rack and I've played around until I've found something that I feel good about. And I actually use one of the presets here to get this going, some guitar distortion, aggressiveness. So this is really cool because you might have a bunch of your own samples. You want to manipulate them further. You might have pulled something off Splice, whatever it is, drag it in, play around with it. All of a sudden, it's completely different sound from what you started with, which allows you to make really unique compositional choices. In this case, it's a bed for me. Yeah, and you can hear there's a couple of little pots, like I've really stretched out that sample like quite a bit. So let's take a look at the stone percussion that I have here. So if I play it. Yep, and that's stone. That is stone, which is crazy that I can MIDI program stone. So let's take a look at two things. One, we'll take a look at the, so I've got the options there. So let's go back into, so if I go back into this, let's go random. So this kind of goes back to the mode I wanted to talk about before, but it just wasn't the right application for it. I feel like it works better on something where there's multiple hits that you're able to look at. So we've got default, which is just, which is every time you play, it's different, like, but it's sequentially different. Random is just random. AB. So it keeps going back to the previous one and then a different one, and that kind of lets your AB a little bit odd. 1, 3, 5, even. Reversed. 3. The thing with this too is that with this, you're able to change the start point, and in some instances it will work, some instances it won't. Others is just shuffle. So I guess you definitely can do it with a more transient sustained, as opposed to a really hardcore, just like, you know, something that's got a real obvious transient cutoff, like a snare, something like that. You can use that functionality. I personally don't. I think it's better when I'm trying to A/B versus different hits, but that's beside the point. I just wanted to be able to demonstrate that kind of mode to you when you're in step mode, to be able to A/B and test things and stack things. It's the same principle applies with the doubles, triples. So it's repeating them across the board. What I wanted to talk about quickly was, what I actually did for this one is that I briefly used the Rhythmic editor to make something that I thought was really cool, and I was manipulating it around, and then eventually I wanted to take it out of here. So something that they've integrated into 1.1 is they've done the Get MIDI. So there's this little button here that you're able to use, and you click that, and then you can drag it out, and then you've got your MIDI. In my case, it's not a lot of information, but usually when I did the full-blown thing, it loads it up, and it loads it up very nicely with your full velocity information and everything here, which is very nice to have, because there's nothing more annoying than loading up your MIDI and it's all same velocity and doesn't have those dynamics. So with the stone percussion, that's the main thing I wanted to flag, was being able to export MIDI. We're going to come back to this rhythm section right now, because the next one I want to talk about, and probably my favorite utilization of the Rhythmic editor when I was doing this short little cue, was using it for this cello preset. So it's not, Berserker Pro isn't the go-to for strings by any means, but there is a really unique cello process that I like a lot that actually does live in my template. So what I did is I pulled a preset up here, and then I just started to play around. So this is the Rhythmic editor. So just if you're back to main, so this is what the original patch sound looks like. So you've got main, then you've got rhythm, you've got effects. When you don't have this enabled, it'll look like that. It'll tell you tap anywhere to engage it, and bang, you've got your rhythm editor ready to go. You've got this MIDI expressiveness settings, step settings, you've got velocity curve. It's just unbelievable. This can be as easy or as complicated as you want it to be. So for me personally, I don't do a lot of this stuff. You've also got sequence change settings, but I want to make you aware of what you can do. Whether or not I do that is irrelevant. As long as you're aware that it's an option, that's the main thing. So the main part that I really get into with the Rhythmic editor is making sure you're aware of all of these different options. So I was playing around quite a bit with this. So you've got your velocity, pan, filter, pitch, layers. So they're all independent of one another. So I'm just going to play around. I'm going to disable these two, and I'll play you what happens when you just have the velocity. Add pan in. Yeah, if you had headphones, that would have made all the difference. Next, let's go to filter. So you can play around with a whole bunch of stuff. So there's just so many different options here. So there's something to note with the filter, so you can engage it. Then there's heaps of different options: low pass, high pass, multis, effects. So I've got the formant on, so you can hear that. It's loops. Some other things down here too is you've got the randomizer, the copy paste, the undo, so you can the reset. So you can reset things fully. So if we go over to pitch, copy it, go over to filter, bang, it's right there. Super easy to use. So yeah, this is the kind of thing you can get super complicated, super straightforward if you want to do. So there's some extra tools down there if you want it to. Then let's have a look at pitch, which is something I actually did apply to this stem for the cue. So I'll play. and I wanted to create that dissonance with it, so it gave a really cool feel. Then we've also got layers as well. So if we play that now. I'll go again with the randomized. So what this allows you to do is you can click the arrange button, you can start to really play around with it. And it's the similar principles of what we had on the main page. So you can see here, if I click, it goes to tripling, the halfway is to doubling, and the other one's off. So if we, real distinct. You can hear, just if you've got headphones on, you can hear just how much bouncing is going on when you play around and manipulate that. So I'll just go back, turn it off. Keep playing around with a few randomized options. Something to keep in mind too, if you randomize this, it's going to do the whole thing. If you randomize that, it's going to do whatever one you're selected. So just a couple things to keep in mind. But I think that gives a pretty good understanding and basic overview of all the different things that you're able to do with this Rhythmic editor. It's super powerful. The final part of my cue are just these sound elements, which I pulled from my sample folder, which is linked up to some of the source sounds from Keepforest. I'll just play those. And then when we've got everything together, one final time. One thing I did forget there was that if I had randomized the cello, all of a sudden the cue feels very differently. But it goes to show how different one rhythm kind of makes the whole thing sound. So that there in essence is Berserker Pro by Keepforest. It's a really amazing, just how much detail has been put into this. There are a lot of features there that maybe I wouldn't necessarily use for my day-to-day and when I'm doing sound design and utilizing libraries for cues and stuff like that. I am working quite quickly, I'm working quite fast, and I do a lot of manipulation outside of these libraries to make them a little bit more unique in my taste depending on the cue. And Berserker Pro is one of many Keepforest libraries I utilize, as well as many libraries in general that I utilize. But I think the main thing here and what I wanted to showcase for all of you is that there are so many things you can do that really you're only limited by how you interpret some of these sounds, how you utilize some of the functions. Because truthfully, I don't use every single function in here, every single cue and every single time. There's a time and a place for different things, whether it's the tripling or the doubling, whether it's auditioning certain hits. There's a time and a place for a lot of that. But what Berserker Pro offers is it gives you the tools, and you're able to run with those tools and see how far you can get. So if I were you, I would definitely go check out the Keepforest website, go check out Berserker Pro, and go check out the Wild Hunt series as well. That's a new one by there, as well as checking out Watchkeeper and Apex and a lot of things, because a lot of these play really nicely together. If you haven't already checked it out, you should definitely go watch my Devastator Pro video and my Apex video that I've also done with the Keepforest team, just to showcase different sounds and flavors that they've made and presented to us as composers and musicians. But no, Berserker Pro is absolutely just an unbelievable library that you should be taking into the new year with you. It's just altogether, it's unique. It's got those tribal, those folk, and those punk sounds that are really hard to get elsewhere. They've done their due diligence and they've gotten these sounds just from absolutely amazing sonic sources. So it's been put together for us composers in a really, really nice way. So thank you for checking out my video. I'm Daniel Neshi. Thank you and see you soon.